The first year, it was every phone conversation I had with a gym owner. It was like, okay, like you're going to be blown away. What I want you to do is, like, once there's too many leads and you feel like you're overwhelmed, you call me and we'll turn off the marketing because it's going to happen fast. I was like warning people, like, this is going to be more than you can handle. Nowadays it's like, God, we're working our asses off to get people signed up, but we're still doing it and we're still having success. But it's not as easy as it used to be.
Hey, fitness fans, welcome back to the Future of Fitness podcast and interview series. This is your host, Eric Malzone, and this is episode number 94. I get to talk to Tommy Hackenbruck. What a treat. So if you are in the world of CrossFit, or at least have been for over a year, you probably know who Tommy is. You should know who Tommy is. If not, Google him. Tommy Hackenbruck, CrossFit, or just Tommy Hackenbruck would probably work. He's a high-level CrossFitter. He's been in the game for so long in CrossFit. He's, more on the legendary status. You probably hate me saying that because he's so humble, but it's true. He's a big deal in CrossFit media. He's a great athlete. He's always performed well. Hacks Pack, I believe, won the CrossFit Games on the team division 2 years. I should fact check that, but I'm not going to because I just said it anyway. But he's competed at a high level and he's famous in the CrossFit world. And he's also a gym owner, and he's been through some ups and downs. He talks about the story of that. He's extremely transparent, authentic, and humble. And that's always, every time I get to talk to Tommy, that's generally the feeling that I get. I'm like, this guy has every reason to be cocky. He really does, but he's one of those people who's just not. He's humble, and he generally cares for his clients, his family, and he's not afraid to say that he gets scared at times as a business owner, because we all do. And I think that's really cool. And it just kind of, I think it draws people towards Tommy, and that's why he's a great spokesperson for brands and also the new challenge. So that's a big part of this conversation as well, as performance-based marketing. 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago, the new challenge came on the scene with CrossFit affiliates, and it just blew our minds, right, of how powerful digital marketing can be and how many leads can be driven to a gym, which I thought my market was tapped. I think I talk about it in here. I thought my market was tapped as far as leads. Boy, was I wrong. They turned on the tap of this thing and boom, just started coming in. And that really was the precipice for many of the programs you see out there today for gym owners, for 6-week challenge formats, things like that. I believe they're one of the leaders in devising that and sending it out into the world. So yeah, really interesting. We also talk about CrossFit. CrossFit is changing courses. Greg Glassman is back on the scene. And, he's going after what his original vision was to change the status of health in the world. And it's cool. We talk a little bit about that, where the sport is going. Very interesting points of view from Tommy as well. So yeah, really, there's just so much to talk about. It's a great interview. It's a little bit longer than we normally do, but there was just so much going on. You got to let it roll sometimes, right? And before I get into that, I want to just plug the Fitness Accelerator. We're growing the community now just at the right speed. So what is it? It's an online community that is predicated on leveraging each other's relationships, networks, and knowledge bases to just quickly accelerate business. And, it's a hard thing to explain until people get in it. And then I start making connections for them that they never would have had before. And things start happening. Big projects. You guys, big projects. This is not one of those places where you go in, you're like, oh, maybe I'll expect a 10% return. We're like, no, we want a 10x. That's the goal, just by leveraging each other's networks and knowledge bases. That's it. So if you want to learn more, fitnessprofessionalonline.com/fit accelerator. And you can get more information. There's an application, and, we are pretty stringent on who we let in. So, take your time and go over the application well. Again, it is fitnessprofessionalonline.com/fit accelerator. And people like Tommy Hackenbruck are in the group. Just having a conversation with him this morning, as the date of this intro, November 9th, about getting people involved in his project. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but a lot of cool stuff going on. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into this episode number 94 with Tommy Hackenbruck. Enjoy. It's a great one. All right, Tommy Hackenbruck, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Eric. Great to be here.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I've been, as I told you before we started recording, that I've been, thinking about my intentions for this interview for all morning, really since I woke up at 5:45. And one of those interesting people where there's so many things to talk about with you, because, there's Tommy the athlete, right? There's Tommy the businessman. There's Tommy the gym owner and entrepreneur online. There's just a lot of things that you've done, and you've done a lot of things. So I guess since it's, date of recording is August 29, 2018, I would actually like to get your opinion on the biggest announcements that have come through CrossFit with the changing of the games and the direction of what Greg Glassman is up to now.
Sure.
I've always contemplated like what I would want like CrossFit as the sport to look like. But I'm curious because you're in it, man. I mean, you've been competing in CrossFit at a very high level for, right when in its inception. So you've seen a lot of evolution of it. So yeah, man, what's your take on the announcements, and where do you think it's all going?
Yeah, that's a great one to start with. I don't know. I mean, I don't know I don't think they've announced like a whole lot of clarity as far as like details. So unless I missed something.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm going to assume that I know about as much as you do in the general public. So here's like big picture take. I remember when CrossFit announced a partnership with Reebok, and there were lots of people out there. When I started and I first went to the games, it was everyone had the mindset that, it could be you, like anyone could make it the games. It's like Ed McMahon and Publishers Clearinghouse back in the day where they show up at your door with this big, huge check. It was like, you could be that lucky person, because there were just random people, more or less random people. You learn about their background. You're like, oh, that's why that person's so fit.
Right.
But for the most part, random people were like qualifying for the games and just, training in their affiliate. And they announced a partnership with Reebok, and people freaked out. And they're like, it's over. This is the end of CrossFit. Like, they've sold out. And a lot of that was just people who were disappointed that they were starting to see, that window that they had shrink.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction this time around. So it's not going to change a whole lot. Look at any high-level sport, any professional sport. You have your cream of the crop, and across the board, one of my favorite. Not one of my favorite. There's a lot of, but some really good insight from my college coach, football coach Urban Meyer, was that every year he'd tell us, he'd say there's about 4 or 5 teams in the country that can be the best every year. They have the top 25, but there's 20 of those teams are kind of pretenders. They're great teams, but they don't have that it factor that separates them. And if you look at the top 25 every year and how it shakes out, there's usually, that's why the BCS was such a mess. I'm just using college football as a reference now, but that's why people hated the BCS. It's because it took 2 teams, and there was usually somewhere between 2 to 3 other teams that should have been in that conversation. So anyway, what I'm getting at is like there's usually 4 or 5 elite college football teams. There's usually maybe 6 or 7 elite, next level NFL teams. And there's only ever going to be, maybe 10 to 15, maybe fewer, maybe 5 to 10 elite CrossFit athletes. You're starting to see that at the games, even with the current qualifying as it is. So I think the people who have the most to be disappointed out are going to be Americans, people who live in the United States, because it's greatly reduced your chances. But don't forget, there's athletes from all over Europe that have been in the United States qualifying in our regionals, and the reason there are so many Americans in the CrossFit Games isn't because we're fitter. It's because CrossFit started in the United States. So as it grows internationally, there's going to be more and more great high-level international athletes. There's never going to be 162 men and women who have a chance at winning the games. So for a lot of these athletes, it'll just be kind of like a novelty. They'll be representing their country. They don't have a cold chance in hell of winning the CrossFit Games. And it might seem unfair that they get a go to the CrossFit Games ahead of some people who are fitter. That's a great argument that lots of people can make. Look at the Olympics, though. Yeah. And so, with the intention, I think CrossFit, the higher ups, my guess is their intention is to globalize the sport even more. They think that's what's good for CrossFit. They think that's what's good for affiliates, and they think that's what's good for people. As fast food gets globalized, as Processed food gets globalized as people get fatter and more unhealthy. The safeguards that you have to combat that are, diet and exercise. And so they're trying to kind of grow that movement. That's my take, is they're trying to grow the proper health, proper diet and exercise as fast as we're growing the sedentary lifestyle with processed food.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. I see it from, a business standpoint. It just makes a lot of sense for CrossFit. I mean, they're bleeding money with a lot of these regional events.
Oh, yeah.
And what I really liked about it, my favorite thing, and of course, no one could get in Greg Glassman's head, nor do I think anybody would want to, but I see when, he stated that he wants to have 150,000 affiliates, and which is, right now I think there's 15,000 roughly. So that's a 10x of how many affiliates they want worldwide. That's a global domination move, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of great intention where I think supporting the affiliates, as a former gym owner, you own one or two gyms now.
One right now. Yeah, it's going really well.
Good. Yeah, one's enough.
Talk about that later.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool. I hope, it sounds like there's going to be more focus on supporting the affiliates and growing it from the grassroots level, which really is what got it off the ground and what got me into it. Was really exciting. But, there was this divergence between CrossFit for health and fitness and CrossFit as a sport that took place. I don't know, 2012-ish, probably when Reebok came on.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah, so I hope what this means is that the affiliates get the support, because they're doing a lot of work, man. They really are. And I think that's a missing link that seemed to get lost because who trains these athletes? Who puts up, CrossFit athletes aren't easy to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Let's be honest, I'm probably going to get some hate mail on this, but it's true. They're not the easiest, and to train them and give them space to do things that they need to do in order to excel in their sport, and the emotional support that they need and all these things, it can be draining on an affiliate and a coach to do that. And I think having the support, will be warmly welcome. So yeah, that's what I hope.
Yeah, there's just too few CrossFit athletes out there, and too many regular people that have a need, for training and for instruction, and that's what affiliates are for. And it's just it's an evolution. It makes sense to me. You'll have little mini schools, little mini camps, little concentrated areas of CrossFit athletes and coaches and support staff. That's a different business model in and of itself. And it's really irrelevant to the greater affiliate model and an affiliate mission and what they're about. And then, the open and it's not like people shouldn't be competing in their affiliate, and they shouldn't be trying to do those workouts. And I support all levels of fitness at my affiliate, and I support all levels of competitiveness, to the extent that we can provide a good service. We can't service high level CrossFit athletes anymore. We can service just about everybody else.
Yeah.
So if we have high level CrossFit athletes, that's fine, but they're going to stagnate, that they're going to run out of room, and they're going to have to find a bigger pond to swim around in if they want to become a big fish.
Yeah. Really interesting. So, let's talk about your journey as an affiliate owner. What came first? Was it Tommy as a gym owner, or Tommy as an athlete in CrossFit? What was the first piece?
Simultaneous.
Okay.
I'll give you the quick rundown. I was confident about running a business because I knew nothing. Because I was an idiot who had no clue, like everybody else. I'd been building houses for 3 years, and I got a contractor's license, and I was starting to run my own crew and get my own work. So that was my first 3 years out of college. So I had that kind of entrepreneurial bug. My wife at the time was training people in small group training, Czech Institute background, the guy who owned that facility, more corrective exercise. So there was Tommy the contractor, and then my ex-wife was a trainer. I stepped in a CrossFit gym. I didn't like going to gyms. I actually despised them because of the culture. And I stepped in a CrossFit gym. I was like, fuck, this is it. Like, this is a team atmosphere. These people are immediately my friends, and not in a fake way. It's just that we suffered together and it meant something.
Yeah.
So literally the one workout and I was sold. I was like, this is what fitness needs. Like, this is the future. It's 2009. And so somehow I just stumbled upon the right affiliate where the affiliate owner had been to the 2008 CrossFit Games. He took 111th. He signed up and showed up and competed. 111th had like 130 people. So he was kind of talking about it. Otherwise, I would have had no clue what the games was. And so 6 months later, I qualified through online qualifier. But 3 months after I started, within that first 3 months, I decided I was going to open a gym. So there were just a whole lot of pieces that fell into place. I fell in love with CrossFit. My wife was in fitness. I was looking to get out of construction because as much as I love building houses and I dearly miss it, I was looking at the guys around me, and I didn't want to be drinking a 12-pack of beer every day after work and having a bad back and bad knees. I didn't want to end up where they were headed. As much as I loved and respected them, we had a great time. Plenty of vulgar language, job site stuff. I didn't mind that, any aspect of that, but we had our first kid. He was a few months old, and I was kind of looking for a change, something better for the family long term. So all those things came together. I opened an affiliate in June. I competed in CrossFit Games the next month, and just went from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've, it's interesting because, we walked different but similar paths, right? I played water polo. I played a team sport as well through college and even club after. And gyms, I just couldn't get into the gym scene until I found CrossFit, because it was like this, I went to start at Lane Fitness in San Francisco, and it was just this shared suffering, right? It was just crazy. Like, at that point, we were so dumb in CrossFit. We're like, well, how hard can we make it? Like, cool, my hands are bleeding. Awesome. Right. Let's do it again. Let's do 100 more pull-ups. It was such that team. And I found that, the people who really latched onto it had been some kind of team sport athlete. They really, really loved it. And
early adopters, it was just, everything was like a dick measuring contest. It was like the hardcore CrossFitters. It was like the people we chase out of our gym nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember at one point, when we were training and we were doing some workout bench press, and we're like, well, what happens if we fail in the bench press? And they're like, well, you got to figure it out, man.
He does.
So we're like trying to roll the bar. Like, how idiot, how dumb can we be? But here I am. I'm still walking and talking. And I also, after college, I got through into various sales and marketing careers, right? Okay. And I remember sitting at a national sales conference and sitting there and looking around the room and being like, okay, as people are taking smoke breaks, they're just over-traveled, over-stressed, they're all making good money. I was like, I can't do this. This ain't for me, man. I gotta figure something else out.
You see where it takes you. I mean, that's good insight, I think, on both our parts, is like to be able to see where that's headed. Even though, like, in that day when you're seeing those people, you're like, yeah, I'm still healthy. I take care of my body. Yeah. But just having the foresight to know, like, hey, even if that's not where I want to end up, that's probably where I'm going to end up if I don't change my path. Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty strong, those cultures are strong, right? I mean, it's just, they'll overwhelm you. So you started gym, and I know I've heard your story because it was part of the New Year Challenge. It was part of the marketing, because everyone loves a good story. It's excellent. Tell us one more time, man, because you went up, you saw success, challenges, found an answer, expanded, all kinds. You learned all these massive business lessons along the way.
Yeah. All the wrong ones. I still, to this day, the best advice I think I've been able to give people, and I try not to like burst people's bubbles. They're going to do what they're going to do. But one person, one affiliate. I've talked to very few people who I think have successfully gone past one affiliate and had 2 or 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. And even then, from a purely financial standpoint, a lot of times they're just as well off with one as they are with 4. They just have more problems now, and they coach less. And a lot of the people I've talked to, behind the scenes, it hasn't really fulfilled them. So I've been really pretty strong supporter of trying to encourage people to just have one gym. If you're going to do two, it should be more or less like a partnership, one person runs one and one person runs the next. And they each kind of have ownership. And then if you're going to do that, it can definitely work. And there is some mutual benefits that way. But also it's like, why don't you just own one? If you're going to have two or three, but you're going to have two or three different owners, is it really that much better than having one? So I think that's the question people should think about, if they're considering opening up more locations. If you're going to do it, first of all, you need to leave your gym for an entire year and cut back, and it's got to be doing just as good as when you left. If you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't have a second one. Yeah. So that's like another litmus test. But so I started out from almost not that bar, 26 grand for my dad. Then I got in financial trouble, sold my truck for $5,000. And then, and we were in this just shithole, 900 square feet. The floor was slanted. So if you set a bar down, it rolled to the front. So we had little pieces of rubber, little stoppers that we put in front of our bars and set them down so they didn't all roll to the front of the gym. Yeah. It was just bad. I didn't really know how to start up. And I didn't have nearly enough funding. So we managed to find a better location after about 6 months and somehow got out of the lease. It helped that the sheetrock was falling off the ceiling onto the floor because of water damage. So I got out of that. And basically, as CrossFit took off, I was a little early in 2009. So the first couple of years were kind of tough. I took second at the games and then ninth. And no one had a fucking clue who I was, especially in that community. Yeah. And if they did know who I was, it was because I played college football in Salt Lake City. That, had nothing to do with CrossFit. Right. So, even to this day, we don't really get a whole lot of leverage out of the CrossFit games in our local community. Hold on, my computer's dying. Yeah. Good time. Just plugging it in. So there's a real myth there that doing well at the games helps an affiliate. We get more drop-ins. That's about it. Right. But yeah, I expanded to 3 gyms, and then that kind of happened all at once. We're looking for a second location because we're way too crowded, and I thought the logical answer was to find a second place. Expand the community. Yeah. Offer more to our clients. Offer more opportunity for my staff. Who I really cared deeply about. I saw them as family. Everything was, that one gym, everything was tight, everything was good. And so I had the best of intentions. In hindsight, everything I did, having multiple gyms didn't help. That family community of coaches and stuff. People are going to follow. This is more like a cynical viewpoint, right? I'm not a total cynic, but those people who are family, they're going to do what's best for them. A couple of the trainers, I got a divorce. So one of them had played college soccer with my ex-wife. And so she left right away. Another girl had a baby and was still pretty solid after that. She was great before, still really solid after, had her second baby, and her family needed her, more than she needed the gym. Right. So life happens and people move on. I was kind of naive. So a whole bunch of stuff happened. The divorce wasn't good. It was very amicable up front, but I know there's kind of an agenda there, and man, I could go down that bitter divorce person path really easily. I'm not going to do that on this podcast. Yeah, whatever you want. Whatever you want, man. Yeah. No, it ended up not being good for the community, even though the ex and I wanted what was best for the gym. The success of the gym absolutely affected both of our ability to move on. She was getting bought out. So, I think she wanted to have people feel like I was the wrong one or something. Whereas in my mind, I was like, this is the best thing for both of us. I didn't care, I didn't care what people thought. I want people to be like, oh, good for you guys. But I think she wanted kind of that sympathy a little bit. So some stuff got said and spread around that I think was a little bit toxic. It didn't destroy our community, but it hurt it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was very tight-lipped about everything all the way through, just because I didn't really care. We were both unhappy in that marriage. It had been 9 years of being married, and we both have been much happier since. I feel like that's a great thing. I feel like people should celebrate. But divorce is a weird thing. Everyone, I'm so sorry, and everyone wants to pick a side. Everyone wants. There's got to be a reason. Who cheated? Who? What happened? Because usually that's the case. When we hear something, we don't get enough details. Our human curiosity kicks in, and we want to know. I think there's a very good reason we got divorced, and it makes a lot of sense. And most people now understand why that happened, and I think they can look back and be like, "Oh, I get it." But at that time, we had just opened a second, third location within a year, and all that happened. So anyway, I didn't have the staff to run 3 gyms. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, still competing. And basically, like, I was kind of this first gym, our lease was $4,000 a month. Here's, some hard, solid, numbers, business advice.
Yeah.
First lease, about $4,000 a month. That's been good location, profitable. We've been able to make it work. We've been able to always pay our trainers, buy new equipment. Second and third space, one of them was $8,000 a month, the other was $9,000 a month. They were twice the size. Beautiful locations, really nice equipment. All the success that we had prior, like all that money got dumped into these things. Like when things were great, I never paid myself. I was always trying to do what was best for the gym. And so, these huge leases just crushed me because, again, another hard lesson I learned was $15,000 in overhead is a little bit high for a CrossFit gym. You want to keep it under 15, and with $8,000 to $9,000 in rent, that doesn't leave you a whole hell of a lot of money to pay a staff and pay trainers and everything. Yeah. As far as overhead, revenue wise, it's hard. Almost every gym owner I talk to, and you talk to a ton of gym owners too. Mm-hmm. I can't, probably 90% of them are literally between 80 to 100 clients at any given point in time. It's fairly easy to get up to that number. It's really hard to get past it, and it's really hard to sustain it if you do. Yeah. So, build your business model accordingly. Granted that be conservative. I'm only going to have 80 clients. How do I make that work? How much rent can I afford? What do I have to charge? So with a small boutique gym, I know there's people who do better and have more clients and keep them happy and do a really good job of it. I've just noticed it's very difficult. Yeah. So how I got involved with the New You Challenge was basically gyms were struggling. My main gym had gone downhill, and then another one was doing a little bit better, and then they kind of flipped, and one would be doing good, one wouldn't. A trainer would leave one, and then the momentum would just crash. I've had some great trainers over the years, really good people. And the worst thing about a good trainer is that if and when they leave, it's devastating to the community. They have a following, and they all left on good terms. It wasn't always perfect. It wasn't always the way I envisioned it. I was sad to see him go. As far as my end, some were just ready to move on. But even leaving on good terms, it was really difficult for the gym and the community. So, things were crazy, and that's when I got introduced to the challenge, and that's a marketing company that came along at the right time, because from 2011-12, like you're talking about, when things kind of blew up, with Reebok coming on board, the CrossFit Games blowing up, basically people were just coming through the door like crazy. So for 3 years, anyone who owned an affiliate during that time, be like, marketing, what marketing? Like, word of mouth, baby. Yeah. Just put your flag down in the ground and people are going to show up.
Yeah. If you're a great coach, people will flock, right? That was the
everybody thought they were, a genius, and they, figured out we don't need marketing. What the hell?
Yeah.
And then, CrossFit's branding got confused as well. And that's what you were alluding to earlier with the games blowing up. People were thinking CrossFit was a CrossFit game. So at a certain point, you kind of hit this peak. And I swear, like at least in Utah, I'm sure almost everywhere else, affiliates probably tripled between 2011 and 14. They probably doubled between 14 and 15.
Yeah.
And that was a tipping point. And it's like, okay, you have this perfect saturation of affiliates, and then you just double it. And boom, it blew up. No one was coming through the door. Yeah. I was having a really hard time. I mean, when I expanded, I was so naive. I was like, at the rate we're growing, we had 20 people going through a 2-week on-ramp all the time. We took over an extra like auxiliary space just to run a constant on-ramp of new people.
Yeah.
It's like at this rate, by the time I opened a new gym, this is why I opened 2 new gyms. I only wanted to open 1 more. But one of them was taking so long, the project, it was a rebuild. One of them was taking so long that I opened the 3rd one. That's how stupid this is. I opened my 3rd gym because I said, well, this project's, taking too long and it's going over budget. And so I'll just open a 2nd gym, and that 2nd gym is going to be profitable right away because at the rate I'm growing, it's going to be full, and that'll help me pay for the losses of this other one. So I opened a 3rd gym to pay for what I was losing on the 2nd gym when it was going way over budget, and it took 12 months longer than it was supposed to take. Yeah. So here I'm sitting on 3 huge leases, and the staff, was decimated. I lost 2 key players in the original coaching staff, my ex-wife and her friend. Kept some good key people, but it was just a bad time. So with the challenge, that was a marketing company, and they got lifeblood coming back through the doors. The first step was just to get people in, and it was crazy. Signed up a ton of people. Very quickly realized I wasn't retaining nearly as many as I needed to. So it was like, okay, this is a Band-Aid to stop the bleeding, but now we have to get better.
Right.
And then again, it was just running into more problems because it's like, how do I develop a staff and make it better when I don't have the structure? I have 3 gyms, and I'm still, so I was able over the last 3 years to cut 2 of those gyms loose. One of them I just bought out of the lease. Actually used money from a business startup that I did after the divorce, and I sold my share of it and bought out the lease. That was lucky. And then the other one I finally closed down because it just would not get past that hump. I felt like I was doing a disservice to the clients. And so that one's now leased to a different guy who's opening up a gym. He's going to affiliate. He's has a little different niche. He's training adaptive athletes and vets and wounded warriors, working with the VA locally. So I kind of talked with him beforehand. I really liked where he was going and what his mission was. And so that was like the main reason I felt okay closing my gym. Was, it was going to be put to better use, I felt like. And not only that, but now I could focus on just the one, which is now doing great. I have 2 amazing managers. And, by all of us focusing only on that one place, I felt like we could do the most good and do justice to our clients, who they deserve that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And what I really appreciate about you, Tommy, is that you're very transparent with the struggles you've had, very authentic with that. And I think, you look at, I'm just going to make mass generalizations, but a lot of CrossFit affiliates, there's a lot of bravado. There's a lot of, the vanity numbers. How many members do you have? Right. But a lot of them but then you get them in a private room. They're like, dude, I'm struggling. Right? Like, how did you do it for so long? And you're right. And you and I both saw like this, it was so easy. I mean, back in 2010, 2011, like, you just threw the name on the door. Right. Mm-hmm. And then it was the early adopters started coming in, and I didn't even have to think about marketing until a certain point. Before the new challenge, I think I kind of did something similar without knowing it, but I called it, I realized, okay, what were the biggest challenges that what were the biggest objections people had? It was CrossFit's dangerous, CrossFit's too hard, CrossFit's expensive, right? I'm like, well, what if I just, did some kind of 4 to 6 week course, right? And we just marketed it and dropped the rate down and got people in and got them in. So we called it zombie apocalypse training. And I made flyers, and I was like flying all around Santa Barbara. It was before like Facebook ads was a thing. And you know what? It worked. And I don't know to this day, I don't know why I stopped. I think we actually got to a point of like, okay, we were at 240 members or something like that. And
we're
like,
full.
we're just going to stop. We're full. Yeah. And, I thought I would just go, play golf on Wednesdays and Fridays, and that was going to be the rest of my life. And then, then 2 more gyms opened up, right? And then all these challenges started coming into play, and my membership started dropping. I didn't know what to do about it. And so that's when I heard, I think I talked to you. I was like, I talked to Cooper. And he's like, dude, Eric, you should check out this new challenge thing. So he got me on the phone with you or Ken. And then I did it, and I was just blown away. My eyes just opened. I'm like, holy shit, there's this world of digital marketing that I didn't even know existed, and we're just scratching the surface. And I thank you guys so much, and to you, because it really opened my eyes as to how, because most CrossFit gym owners didn't know how to market because we didn't have to, right? Up front. But then it was so eye-opening to see the power of digital marketing. Of course, the new challenge was, the first time I did it, I think I got 220 leads, right, coming in, and I filled up 50 people in this challenge. And it was just, So now I think people are starting to figure out, there's so many things. Even though I know you're working on, an X evolutions of new challenge and what that looks like. And if you have anything to share with us, I would love to, because it really, I thank you guys so much for opening my eyes into what we can work with.
You got 261 leads. You signed up 39 people.
Yeah.
First time.
Awesome. How about those numbers?
It was like too easy. And it was, literally for the first year, there was, my wife quit her job to be a rep because we used the challenge. I was super grateful. Thank James. Like I owed him everything. I was literally like, okay, how do I exit this business? Do I file for bankruptcy or do I not? Like, is there a non-bankruptcy way to exit this business? That was what I was sitting on. It was just nuts. But with the first year, it was every phone conversation I had with a gym owner. It was like, okay, like you're going to be blown away. What I want you to do is, like, once there's too many leads and you feel like you're overwhelmed, you call me and we'll turn off the marketing because it's going to happen fast. I was like warning people, like, this is going to be more than you can handle. Nowadays it's like, God, we're working our asses off to get people signed up, but we're still doing it and we're still having success. But it's not as easy as it used to be. But that's, it's business. James, the guy who started this company, is a brilliant marketer, and he came up with something just very unique. And, for whatever reason, it was just a perfect ad copy at the perfect time. And we just tried to keep it effective ever since, and improve it. The latest the question you asked, I'm really stoked right now. We're kind of evaluating, because we're in growth mode for a couple of years. It was just nuts, just trying to keep up with the demand of gyms that needed help and making sure we could do a good job and do them a solid and come through. We're performance-based marketing, so we spend the money on the ads. If people don't sign up and don't join the program, we lose money, and we lose money left and right. It happens frequently on campaigns. So, but we also are good enough at what we do that it's like it's a calculator. It's a business model that nobody uses. You won't find a marketing company out there that walks in and says, hey, I'm going to spend my money. I'm going to do your marketing. I'm going to do sales for you and get people to sign up and collect the money. And then I'm going to allow you to coach clients, and I'm going to pay you money to coach the clients. It just doesn't happen. Most marketing, it's like, okay, here's what I can do for you. I have a proven track record. Here's some people I've worked with. Here's some testimonials. This is my fee. And that's how the conversation starts out. So performance-based marketing is a weird thing. It's, it's a lot of pressure, but one thing we've not done a good job of is during the challenge. teach people how to run it. And it's not necessarily something we want to get too far into, but the retention's everything, right? So, I mean, if our company, if the New Challenge got 20 people signed up for a gym, and we pay that gym owner $1,000, and for 6 weeks he coaches those 20 people, he or she, and then after that 6 weeks, none of them stick around. Now, $1,000 for 6 weeks of dealing with 20 new clients who need a lot of attention, a lot of time, probably not worth it. Maybe worth it, just to try it out, but they're probably not going to want to do it again.
Right.
So if they can keep 5 people, are those 5 people probably going to go out and tell their friends how great this gym is? So those 5 might turn into 10. That's probably worth it. If they can keep 10 people, now that's really worth it. That's $1,500 to $2,000 a month every month, as long as those people stick around. So retention is everything, and we've realized if there's anything we can do better to help with retention, we want to. So we started developing better communications with people throughout the 6 weeks, sending them, encouragement emails and, just some pro tips, how to hydrate, what to do when you're really sore, why are you really sore, just explaining these things, because these people are on such a beginner level. It's easy to forget how scary that is. And so we're trying to address that on our end. We send out emails like week 4 and week 5, encouraging those people to talk to the gym owner about a membership, just planting those seeds. So like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Like maybe I should think about, what I do after the 6 weeks is over. And then our nutrition we have great meal plans that are really effective. Almost nobody follows them. So with nutrition, we're looking for more effective ways, simpler tools, to try and get a little more out of it. Because if people can have a little more success with the nutrition aspect of it, their results are going to be better, which in turn is going to lead to retention. The general public, they want results. If they get results, they're going to stick around. So I've had a couple of phone calls with the CEO of RP Nutrition, Renaissance Periodization. And I really like their stuff. It's they have a good variety for different types of clients. And their basic stuff is just very, very simple, and it's effective. So simple and effective is 2 things that I think will help a lot. So we're working on ways to introduce that into what we're doing, and try and give people more nutrition support. And again, hopefully in turn that leads to retention. Because if we can help retain people without being on the ground, the gyms we work with are great gyms, and the trainers are passionate, and the product is good. We really, we're not perfect, but I do my research, I do my homework, our team does our homework. We don't want to work with a gym who's just going to throw people into classes, we also have surveys that go out to people. How was your experience?
Awesome.
And we get great feedback about the gyms. Like very, very rarely do we get someone who says they don't feel like they were, really given good training or good product. Super rare. And if that does happen, we talk to the gym owner about trying to figure out what happened. So most of what we're doing is, just trying to make the experience better, trying to help retain people. It's hard. There's only so much you can do via email and sending people video links and whatnot. To be there hands-on, like work with the people, that's what really counts. So, that's why I'm really excited about the nutrition stuff. Is it's a simple enough template that I think it's a tool that gym owners can embrace as well, and it can make them better at their nutrition presentation. Because that's one area I'm weak. Like, don't talk to me about nutrition. You talk to me about CrossFit games. Don't talk to me about nutrition. I've had kids since I started doing the CrossFit games, and I can blame anything on kids. And if all the parents out there completely understand, it's like, it's like our hall pass. We can get away with a lot. So when it comes to nutrition, I'm horrible. I'm horrible about mentoring clients on nutrition. I'm great at coaching and motivating them. But if I can take this template and be like, here's your damn macros. You eat your damn macros. If you're not willing to eat your macros, this is what you're going to do. You're going to eat potatoes. You can eat as much as you want. If you're too cool to count macros or to pay attention to what's going into your body, and you're asking me what else you can do. I get this all the time. People are like, well, I can't count myself. I'm this person. I can't count my macros. What else can I do, to get fit and to eat right? eat potatoes for a week. You can eat as much as you want, but all you can eat is potatoes.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't have anything else. There's, like everybody wants an easier way, a simpler way. I'm like, well, I guess you could order food and have it like pre-prepped for you. There's companies that do that. It's fucking expensive.
It is.
But you could do that and they'll give you your menu and lay it out for the day. So there's that. But if you want something, no one wants to spend the money though. So if you don't want to spend the money and you want it to be easier and you don't have to pay attention to what's going in your body, the potato diet is the only thing I've come up with that, no one wants to do that.
No,
but it works. It works.
I thought about it. I tried it for half a day.
Yeah.
Fuck this. So, what's funny about the fitness industry too is that we all know, if there's one thing we could get our clients to comply with, and then follow it up with a personal guarantee, it would be nutrition, right? If we can just get our clients, because everyone wants to get in, they want to look better, feel better, stave off disease. And the one thing, but we always start with a movement assessment, and then we get them working out.
Mm-hmm.
But really what we should just be is just this, nutrition place with workouts in the back once you're ready. That would actually be doing, but nobody wants that. Nobody wants that conversation, right? Our clients don't want it. It's not fun for coaches necessarily to go straight to nutrition because you know what happens in nutrition? A whole lot of emotions happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a lot of psychology to it and it's challenging. It's much easier just to, put someone into, A1, A2, B1, B2 and call it a day. But nutrition, I'm glad you guys are focusing on that. I'm curious too, are you guys still doing like, what I really enjoy is when you guys expanded to like a 50 plus challenge, right? Or, you guys still have a lot of variations on that.
Yeah. That's something we could always, do it better on, do a better job with. We've been having requests for kids marketing, kids programs for 2+ years now. But it's, I guess, it's not that easy. What James created, with the New Year Challenge was very difficult. And so to be able to replicate that with kids, it's probably going to be a completely different approach. Who knows what that would be. And then lots of gyms can't service that anyway, but with the Masters, that just made sense. So we have Masters marketing. We go, either 50 plus or 40 plus. And it's been great because that's another population, just like in the very beginning, right? The general population was thinking CrossFit's scary and it's too intimidating. So the challenge is it basically opened their eyes to, no, this is a program that is for beginners and it's geared toward people who are just starting out, and we're going to build you up over 6 weeks. So you're seeing the same thing with people over 50. They're really not, there are a few programs that cater to them, but most of anything that's geared toward, older folks is like silver sneakers. Yeah. So you go from like having CrossFit, which people think is, 20s and 30s, really fit people. And then like, okay, I'm having a hard time standing up out of my chair. And there's a lot in between there. So the Masters marketing has been good, especially in certain communities. We kill it in Florida. Different, any bigger, denser population area, the Masters does really well. But with, I'm not the marketing guy, but I think I could safely say like the more people you have, the more densely packed your areas, you can get more specific. If you're in a more rural area, city, town of like 10,000 people, you can't segment down that market too much, or else your audience is like 500 people and it's tough. So, at a certain point with marketing, it's like a numbers game. You don't want to segment down too much, but, what we are continue to be good with doing is finding people and match them up with the gyms. We find people who want a specific service, and then we have these gyms that offer this service, and, we get them together. So, that's what our main job is.
Yeah. And are you guys working with any other gyms or facilities outside of CrossFit at this point?
Yeah. We have jiu-jitsu schools,
Awesome.
Lots of different martial arts, a lot of Krav Maga, some Taekwondo. So different martial arts studios. We've done a little bit with yoga, and I think there's been a few that did okay, but it's just a little bit different. Again, like the thing with kids, it's different enough with yoga that I just don't think it works. There's a way with yoga to kill it and to find that audience and to get them through your door, but it's not with a 6-week challenge, or at least, from our experience, it hasn't been. But yeah, kickboxing, like any high intense training environment, it's pretty effective across the board, So what a lot of martial arts schools do is they kind of do a 6-week, almost like baseline introduction to martial arts along with the fitness. So they don't put it through 6 weeks of like just, advanced jiu-jitsu class where you're rolling and whatnot. But they mix in, half the class is like boot camp style workouts where you're getting some really good physical activity in. And then the other half is just kind of getting their feet wet into, the martial arts system. And, cause that's a journey, with martial arts and really, CrossFit, you can make that argument as well. But it's not lined out the same way. I really like the belt system. My wife and I have been talking about going to that with our gym. It'd be a big commitment, so we're not quite ready to tackle that yet. But literally going to like, instead of belts, I don't want to completely steal it, but like give people headbands or t-shirts, but like literally have like a different colored tier system, where you have to log a specific amount of hours at the gym plus meet specific performance benchmarks in order to advance. So we've kind of dabbled in that, or bounced it around. I know there's gyms who have done a belt type system. I haven't seen any that have done it that really mirrors a martial arts school. There may be. I haven't been exposed to that yet. I'm pretty curious about though.
Yeah, I think that's a great evolution of CrossFit style gyms too, is doing the belt system. I considered it strongly. I looked at a couple different gyms that were doing, and I can't remember their names now, but I started laying out a whole plan of what that looks like. And just to me, the thought of like, being an adult who, most people are working in their grind and their job, but to have something to come away from that's not work related, and then like having getting that first belt or whatever we're going to call it, that first level, and having a ceremony for people who do it, and then getting to the next one. Like just a great sense of purpose and accomplishment within their lives that a lot of people just don't. And that's why people come to CrossFit so many times, is they just this real hard shit, right? That gives them this break from the grind of their life. And that seems to be what attracts a lot of people to it. So yeah, I'd be curious if you do the belt system. I would love to hear how it goes, because I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, there's just too many parallels, like and there has to be that meaning and purpose with martial arts. You talk to anyone who's achieved a black belt, that shapes them and molds them for the rest of their life. Yes. Every single black belt is going to say that, and some more than others, but it's definitely going to shape them, mold them. And that's no different. Anybody I know who's done CrossFit and stuck with it for more than 3 years will say the same exact thing about CrossFit. Yeah. So it's already there. It's just not mapped out. What's nice about martial arts is it's mapped out in advance. You join the gym, you start, and not everybody sticks it out, but you start and you can see it visually. You can see that roadmap, and you kind of know, oh, that's my goal. That's where I want to get. Yeah. That's one of the downsides of a 6-week challenge. That's one of the downsides of when people walk through the door. Their roadmap in their mind is, I'm going to lose 20 pounds.
I'm just going to finish 6 weeks.
And once I lose 20 pounds, or once I finish in 6 weeks, I'm there. I've done it. Yeah. And so, I want to have something like a carrot for people, just so they can wrap their head around it. And then from there, they can make the decision if they want to do it or not. But when they walk in my gym and there's nothing presented there in front of them, then they're there for 6 weeks and there's no alternative. So why would they stay?
Yeah. Interesting. So you had mentioned before, Tony, that you're working with a new program, a CRM. for affiliates or for gym owners?
Customer retention management system. Does billing, class check-ins, manages your schedule, does everything that every other system does, except for workout tracking. That's in limbo. But the company's been around operating. I've been on the system for over 4 years. I was like one of the first beta clients, and I've never missed a payment. It makes running the gym super easy. It was designed with it was basically designed with the intention of what was out there on the market was like pretty cumbersome. It was that they were made for yogas and then tried to adapt them to boxes, and there's a lot of messy stuff and a lot of extra stuff that you just didn't need. So I think like the features that I like is they have a pretty transparent. It's a low monthly fee. It's a lower merchant fee than anything else that's out there. They have a pretty tight relationship with Gloup, Glacier Payments out of Whitefish, Montana.
Nice.
Good people up there. Yeah. So they're not trying to skim off the top of your business. They just charge a fair, like low rate. Yeah. It does everything you possibly need to do to manage a business. And it was built kind of in modules. So like they do belt tracking for jiu-jitsu schools. But that doesn't show up on my gym dashboard. So what shows up on mine is only everything that's relevant to my CrossFit gym. With a martial arts studio, the dashboard, the interface looks differently, and it works a little bit differently. They use the things that you need, and they don't use things. So it's very user friendly. But yeah, we're just launching that. My wife's doing that full time now. Working, she's very detail oriented. She's what we very first started the New Year Challenge. We were more or less sales reps, and used to manage. We had to build out the gym campaigns, and we used to have a cork board in our living room that had the start date, on a post-it card, and then just a list of every gym that was starting. But we'd have like 10 to 20 gyms some weeks, and so we had like this huge board of like every gym that was running, when they were starting ads, when they were finishing ads. Yeah. So we could constantly check in, and she kept all that organized and managed all that. While I was still coaching and running my gym, she was doing that stuff. So, she's taking this project on full time, but it's good. It's we use SugarWOD for workout tracking, and I like that company. I feel like they've them and Be on the Whiteboard have both really taken workout tracking to another level as far as the user experience. And that's I'm not a tech guy, but I understand well. I've seen enough bad workout tracking programs that they've really done a great job. They've really tackled that animal. So we use that combination at my gym, and monthly we're under $200 out of pocket. And our merchant fee is under 3%. Flat, like everyone's like, oh, my merchant fee is 2.5. I'm like, okay, what's your total revenue? Like, okay, what did you pay and what did they take out of your bank account in merchant fees? Divide that number into that number. They're like, oh, that's 3.5%. I was at 4.7% with my body. Almost 5% of my gross revenues were just going away in fees every month. And that was, I think they've gotten better and come down in rates. That was back in the beginning. My body was, they were doing us CrossFit gyms bad back in the day. Yeah,
I went Mind Body to Zen Planner to oh God, what was another one? I went through 5, and then I ended up back to Zen Planner. And the pain in the ass each time you have to change. All that. It's brutal. So
also Gym Rocket will migrate everybody. That's probably the best.
Oh, that's huge.
The best selling feature. It's the customer service team they'll literally scrub your data and pull a list of all the clients, and then they'll do an analysis and a breakdown. So one thing I realized with the reporting for my gym, it's a funny thing, like Chris at Two Brain Business says, what's your ARM? What's your average revenue per member? No one has a fucking clue. And then they're like, oh God, I need to figure this out. And then they go and they sit down, they start running reports.
Yeah.
And they come up with it. They can't even figure it out because you know what? They got these punch passes. They got these comp memberships. They're like, well, I have 500 members. You're like, oh, you're only making $1,000, or $10,000 a month. Like, what are you charging people? $50 bucks?
Right.
Like, no, I charge $110. Well, you don't have 500 members. Oh, those are old members. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. The recording's awful. Yeah. And it's
so bad. And a lot of it's not the system. A lot of it's the gym owners don't know how to set up properly in the first place.
Correct.
So that's one thing Gymrocket does is they scrub data and then they help you on the onboarding process. They help you set it up and they do a hands-on onboarding process. Takes less than a week to completely switch everyone over. And then they send every single person an email to update their card. And that's one thing you can't do is you can't take card info because these systems actually don't store card info. They get like these tokens. It's like a privacy and a protection thing. So, and which is good. You'll never be compromised that way. Having a recurring payment on file. So, the onboarding process is super easy, but God, I did it 3 times. So if you did it 5 times, like that's the biggest headache, pull your hair out. Like how many clients am I going to lose because of this?
Yeah.
Like,
how much billing am I going to lose every month? And, I would always say, hey, we're going to get this done in 2 weeks, but it would be 2 months.
Yeah. And that's a big reason that Gymrocket doesn't have workout tracking is they didn't want to go down that road and offer something that they couldn't offer an excellent product on. Because there's too many times. I mean, I've fallen victim to it. Too many of us gym owners have switched systems with these high hopes, and you're promised the moon and the stars. And then what you end up getting doesn't work. Like when I switched from MindBody to Zen Planner, I did the same thing too. When I switched to Zen Planner, I did it for 2 primary reasons. One was because they had an app, and 2 is because they had workout tracking. And then the third reason was I was going to save money on my merchant fees. Right. So their mobile app and their workout tracking they were awful. They didn't even actually work. And I believe they do now. So I'm not just trying to bash Zen Planner. Products come a long ways. That was like 5 years ago. Yeah. But I switched because of those 2 features that they said they had and they didn't have them. So that's one thing I think, the Gymrocket founders and software engineers, like they've been really careful about making sure they don't overpromise because the audience they're going to be dealing with isn't going to have the patience for that.
Yeah, exactly. They've been through the ringer too many times. Awesome. Well, dude, Tommy, it's awesome to get you on here and hear your story and everything you're up to. I mean, it's just such an evolution, and I'm glad you're still out there helping affiliates and doing the work you're doing. So, yeah,
I'm glad you're podcasting, man.
What's that?
I'm glad you're podcasting and driving around with your wife and loving life. It's great to catch up and see you doing good things.
Yeah, man, it's pretty fun. I do like where I'm at, and I'm so glad I spent that 8-9 years, running affiliate and running a gym and being in the trenches because it's just allowed me to really appreciate, challenges and the rewards that are in that and help people do it better. So,
that's
man. Yeah,
that's one thing I've learned between owning a gym and let's go back to the beginning. Let's end on this. You're talking about that like scarcity mindset, and you get sheltered off and you get closed off, and you see the people around you and you're threatened by them and this new gym and everything. And we do that in life too. And like probably the most valuable lesson I learned from gym ownership, like from my divorce, is I just don't have I don't have any patience. I can't wrap my head around holding on to bitterness and people who are bitter and resentful and vindictive, and it's so draining to live that way. And so one of the things I've tried to do personally, try to really make it a point of doing, is catch myself if I'm getting jealous or if I feel that bitterness creeping in. And I always try to celebrate other people's success. Nothing bothers me more than to see someone cut down another person's success. Yeah. And you see it all the time in social media. It's like, well, what have you done? Like, you're going around cutting down everybody else. Like, what have you done? Like, what if you went around celebrating success? Like, there's nothing that makes me happier than when a close friend of mine is successful. I don't look at them and see, like when my best friend, and his wife go on a vacation together, and they don't have any kids. I got 4 kids. The first thought creeps out of my mind is like, oh, damn, must be nice, having all these kids. I'm like, screw that. I'm like, dude, I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad that you and your wife get to spend this time together, like cherish it, have a blast.
Yeah.
Like I'm pumped for you.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've tried to be better about personally, and that I've learned through some of those low points is there's just not enough time. Our life is too short for any of that bullshit, man. And I love seeing other people happy.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Awesome. That's like the perfect ending. Couldn't have gotten better. Well, awesome. Tommy, thank you for coming on, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know you and I will be talking real soon.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Eric. It's great talking with you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Hackenbruck. Hey, fitness fans, don't leave yet. It's your host, Eric Malzone, and I have a quick favor to ask. Actually, 3 favors. So, number 1, if you're a fan of our show, I ask you to do something that takes under 3 minutes. Go to iTunes, please, and subscribe to our show. Please, please, please. It means so much to us. It's so important. And then give us a favorable review. We would really, really appreciate it. And I can't tell you how much it means and helps us out. So I know it takes 2 minutes of your day, and it means a lot to us. So please do that. Number 2, go to our YouTube channel, our Fitness Marketing Alliance, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel there. Number 3, if you like this episode or any of the episodes that we've released, share it on social. That's huge. That's a big deal for us. And we put a lot of work into these episodes, trying to give you great actionable content for the fitness industry. So that would mean a lot. And that's it. So we have some big plans coming up for this show. I'll be talking about that in the next couple episodes. But thank you so much for listening. It means so much. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from everybody. Eric, ERIC, at fitnessmarketingalliance.com.